What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Hanging out, doing the old Just Gonna Say It podcast. I hope you all are having a great week so far. Somebody asked me this week, I got an email. Somebody asked me, why are you still uploading them to the podcast platforms? And we are. The last couple of weeks, we've had some problems because we use Spotify to upload, and they were having some issues. So there's going to be probably a catch up this week of a few episodes. So sorry about that, but those are coming. So keep that in mind. I should say, today we're going to talk about. I want to know from you, would you buy gear from a brand if you didn't like the owner or something they said or did or thought or whatever? So we're going to talk about that. I want to get your thoughts on it. I'm going to give you some. We'll talk it through a little bit, and then I'm going to kind of give you how I feel about it towards the end. So yeah, pretty cool. All of these podcasts are ad free, so we turn the ads off on these live streams, so you can just come and watch and not have to worry about it when you get to see them live. So that's pretty cool. To support the channel, you can do a couple things. One, you can ask a guitar question or contribute some other way to the conversation in the live stream and use a super chat. That would be awesome. You don't have to, but you can. We'll drop what we're doing and try to acknowledge those right away. The other thing is that you can go to dylantalkstone.com and you can buy pickups and pickup parts. We just added today, we make flat work for Stratocasters and Telecasters and stuff. So on the Strat stuff, we just added flat work for 195 magnets. So that's a new thing that just came out today. So you are welcome to check that stuff out. And of course, we've just added some new colors and stuff for some of our other custom stuff. So keep an eye on our Instagrams and various such things like that to keep up with what we've got going. Also, you can use some of the links in the description that are companies that support Dylan Talks Tone with affiliate links and various things, and that will help support the channel as well. Or you can just sit and listen and chat in the chat, and chat in the chat, and yeah, just be part of the conversation as best you can. That's free and cool and part of the deal. So here's a question. Does the way an owner of a company or, whoever the owner is, it could be a corporation like Gibson, it could be a private owner, like me, it could be, or any mix therein, right? There could be a few different ways that could be represented. Do the views and etc. of an owner of a company affect whether you're going to purchase from said company? It's a sticky one, right? Because we don't, for example, we don't typically talk about politics and religion and that kind of stuff on this channel. But of course, those are beliefs that people might use for a metric. I don't agree with this person or that person, and then therefore I'm not going to support, or I am going to support this business. So those things can happen. So you can get in a little bit of a sticky, sticky situation with that kind of deal. It's interesting that this didn't used to be a problem, right? So in the old days, we didn't know. You didn't know if the guy that owned a company thought a certain way, about whatever. But now, because of social media and the way marketing works, I'm on the internet every day, right? So, basically posting stuff. I'm doing, videos and Instagram content and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And because it's easy to see, you can see somebody's personal life more than you used to be able to. You can't see the whole thing. I don't show you the whole thing, or most people don't. But there's a lot more transparency, right? And sometimes it's on purpose. Sometimes it's really on purpose. You get to really know, or you think you do. You think you get to know somebody who owns a company by what they post and whatever, which, yeah, it's kind of, you got to give that a grain of salt, because what are they actually posting? They're posting stuff to build their business. So is that really them, or is that stuff to just build their business? But people like to glom onto that and say, well, he feels this certain way about the color blue, and I don't like the color blue, or the color green, or the color orange. I don't like orange. He likes orange. I don't like orange. Therefore, I'm not going to buy from him anymore. And I'm going to tell all my friends, don't buy from him because he likes orange and I'm a Honda guy, like. And so it's kind of interesting that that kind of stuff happens. And we didn't used to be able to do it. Like, I never knew, you never knew about the owner of anything because you couldn't see it. But now you can, now you can see where the owner of a company takes his kids, which Dairy Queen they go to, like whatever. You can see that stuff. And so is it just a matter of, those people always were the same people, right? They always felt that same guy probably never liked the color orange. But now and now you're upset, right? Because you like green. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Sort of weird, but that's just kind of the way it is. Because people have always been people. They've always been who they are. But it's just more visible now. So like a question could be, I guess, there's a couple questions that I would like to ask you and let me know what you think about it. Should you be able to separate what a person believes from their product, right? I'll give you a couple of more shallow, less consequential ones, okay? Because I have these two guitars and people give me a hard time about it all the time. Okay, so John Mayer. A lot of people don't like John Mayer. A lot of people don't like Paul Reed Smith for various reasons. Therefore, they give me a hard time for having a Silver Sky, right? The other one that's probably more so that way is my Machine Gun Kelly Schecter. That's a stupid guitar. No, it isn't, actually. I mean, objectively, it's a very good guitar. It's super cool. The workmanship is perfect. The finish is perfect. It's got carbon fiber reinforcement in the neck. The neck profile is unbelievably good. It's a very good guitar. But because people can't separate the product and the art from a person, they have a feeling about Machine Gun Kelly, so therefore they hate this guitar. It doesn't matter that it's pink because they make a black one. So you could buy the black one if you didn't like pink. But because people feel a certain way, they give me crap about that. That's a less consequential one, right? We're not talking about like not supporting an industry or a company or whatever. But I was just trying to give you a funny example of something like that. It's an interesting thing because, it's just interesting. Let's tell you what. Let's go through the comments up until now and see what we got here. Hey, everybody. And Maxon is done. What did Maxon do? I don't even know. Short answer, it depends on the details, how badly misaligned the values are, what actions they took, etc. Okay, so you're trying to at least be thoughtful about it. No, I wouldn't buy, but it takes a lot for me to not like honor enough. Okay, I don't know what that means. If you start not agreeing with the views of an owner of products, you might start finding yourself never buying anything. Fair point. We're going to get into that here in just a minute. I don't care about views as long as you don't push your views on me. If I'm not part of the cancel culture party. Same here. Sorry, no, I wouldn't not buy something due to views unless they were absolutely crazy either way. Okay. Depending on what they do or what they say to an extent, I feel like Paul Reed Smith is a bit kooky, but he makes good guitars. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. I'm glad that you said that because that's the thing. It's a high bar to lose my business. However, a lot of folks have crossed that bar as of late. It seems like the current environment has allowed most disgusting aspects of humanity to be revealed. That's an interesting one because they're already there. They've been there forever. They've been there forever. So you knowing about it, does that change anything? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm asking a question. Whoever that is, disgusting aspects of humanity have always been there. Me and my wife talk about this all the time. Like, I can't believe the kids at school these days are getting in trouble for this stuff. And we're like, and Leslie will be like, no, they got in trouble for the same stuff when we were kids. It just wasn't on Facebook. You just didn't know about it. Kids always have gotten in trouble for the same thing. People have always gotten in trouble for the same thing. They've always gone to jail for the same thing. Nothing has changed. It's just a matter of how much we know about it. Let's see. I really like you, but so far I'm not buying any boutique pickups for my Chibson, but I'd love to do a video of a donation. Okay. Everyone is entitled to their own views. If they make a good product and comply with all the regulations, I'll still buy from them. All right, cool. I get that. Hang on, we got a super chat. Let's check this super chat out real quick. Kyle, thank you so much, sir. My Alameda loaded pick guard is installed. That's the 6 pickups in one. I'll report my findings on Thursday. Mel is a super nice guy. Sweet, dude. That sounds really fun, actually. Thank you for the super chat. That sounds really fun. I would only boycott a company if the owner or policy is proudly racist, homophobic, etc. Yeah, we'll get into that. I don't want to enrich people who will use that money against others in sick and strange ways. Okay. Yeah, so I tell you what I really like about all this. It fully depends on what they say or do. Cool. I would not buy from an owner I don't like, but I certainly wouldn't go around lighting gear on fire that other people bought from them. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Yeah, so it seems like everybody is pretty reasonable about this stuff, and I'm glad. That's pretty cool. That's nice to hear. Somebody said, you're opening up a can of worms with this conversation, but if you can have a good conversation like this, and it's constructive and it's interesting to chat about, we're just a bunch of friends hanging around talking about this stuff. Now, if you are a hateful moron, then you're part of the problem. But I mean, everybody seems pretty cool. This is cool. I'm glad that we're chatting about this. Because somebody mentioned something, and I don't remember what they said exactly. I apologize. It was a few minutes ago. It's like in eternity. But it made me think of something I had written down here, and that is that do you actually think the thing that you're taking a stand about, or are you just saying it to be part of a crowd on the internet? You understand what I'm saying? Like, somebody will make a post about something and, this guy said this, and this brand now is blah, 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 and everybody just jumps on the bandwagon. For example, I'll give you an example of one, and it's less, again, these are less, lower impact than things we're talking about, like racism and stuff. But like everybody talking about Gibson and how people will glom onto Gibson for two things: quality control, which is BS, and two, the fact that they want to sue all the small companies, which is also BS, because that's their legal right to do it. They actually have, they need to protect their intellectual property. I would too. If you stole my idea, I would sue you as well. If I had the legal things in place to do it, totally. I don't care how small or big you are, I would, because it's mine. And so, there are some sketchy ones where they've gone back in time and fixed some stuff. I don't agree with everything, but on the whole, you have to look into the details and be like, okay, what's really happening here? They're not trying to put people out of business as much as they are trying to protect their intellectual property, which does put people out of business if those people are doing something wrong. So Gibson is an excellent example where people want to glom onto an idea, and because they're a big company, because they are doing something you disagree with. But when you really look into it and really start to understand the law, understand how it works, understand how business works, and really educate yourself on the subject, if you're a reasonable person and be like, okay, let me parse this out. Yeah, this one's sort of dumb. They probably shouldn't have ran down that road. That's annoying. But this one, they're kind of justified in doing. You know, not everybody's always right about everything, but I make my own independent decisions based on my preferences and values. Well, you should. Absolutely, you should. How about the owner of Klon suing Behringer? You know, I've not followed that as much, but if there is an intellectual property dispute going on and the owner of Klon wants to sue him, then he should. He absolutely should. If there is trademark or patent infringements, I doubt there's patents on that. But trademark for sure. If there's trademark infringements or patent infringements on that, he should 100% be suing him. Absolutely. No doubt about it. 100%. And I hope he wins. I hope he wins. You know, as much as I want to give you double cream bobbins on pickups, Larry DiMarzio fights for that. And he owns that trademark. So I'm going to respect it. We don't make them. I respect that. He went through the channels of the law and he did that. Therefore, I'm going to respect it because he did. He put the money out. He put the work in and he's been doing it. I know his lawyer. And I've chatted with him a bunch about that. And he's like, no, it's just a thing that he does. It's important to him and he's going to continue to fight for that, which is good. I think it's really important to make sure that we do. I'm more inclined to buy a Behringer clone copy as a result of the lawsuit. It's nearly impossible to buy a new clone anyway, so the lawsuit is frivolous in my opinion. Well, see, this is where we disagree. And you get put on the back burner for a super chat. If someone is a dick to me, it steers me away from them. Luckily, I've had good experiences with everyone so far. That's great. I love that. Thank you for the super chat, Kyle. Yeah, so if you're going to buy a product because you don't agree with the law, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to stop you. I think it's dumb. I think if you don't agree with the law, then you make efforts to change the law. You don't break the law. You know, but that's just me. Does that mean you're going to buy a... Does that mean you're going to buy a counterfeit guitar too? Because then we're not going to be friends. Gibson actually does have some quality control problems between 2015 and 2019. Who cares? It's not 2019. That was 10 years ago. Who cares? If you're buying an old guitar, then just don't buy it. If the guitar's not good and you're trying to buy a 2015 to 2019 Gibson and it's bad, don't buy it. It's as simple as that. If you're on Reverb and between 2015 and 2019, you're like, there's a 2018 and it's a good one, then buy it. If it's bad, then don't buy it. But in 2025, if you get a bad guitar in the mail, the bottom line is this: you return it. End of story. Stop complaining about the internet. Stop making a big deal out of it. Return the guitar. No to counterfeit. Well, then that's what you're doing, though. If you buy a guitar, if you buy a product that is the subject of a trademark battle, if they lose, maybe not right now, but if they lose, then that's what you're doing. Yeah. Other than having the audacity of putting Centaur on the pedal, the Behringer is not that close of a copy. Yeah, I think it depends on, so it really depends on trademarks, right? It's funny that trademarks, when we talk about stuff, and this is not even the direction I intended to go down with this conversation, but it always comes back to trademarks. People always have a seriously goofed up understanding or misunderstanding or lack of understanding of trademark law. It's the bottom line is that people get super bent about this. And I'm like, read the law, do some research, understand trademark law. And I understand that not everybody needs to. I do, because I'm a business owner, and I've been a business owner and an inventor for many years. So I've got ideas and designs and blah, 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 blah. So trademark stuff. And a lot of times the research that I have to do is not for my own idea, but it's for make sure that the own idea that I have is not infringing on somebody else's, because I'm respectful of the law. So I make sure that when I invent something or when I design something that somebody already hasn't done it, that I'm infringing on their trademark. Usually it's more that. And actually it gets harder and harder to do that. Naming stuff, that's the big one too. Naming pickups, naming pocket knives, naming whatever. It's a difficult thing because trademarks. So yeah. Design patents are legitimate consideration. Yeah, in that case, I think it's over 20 years, so it probably doesn't matter, but still. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, everybody apparently cares about trademark law for sure. So here's the question. Do you really believe this? So let's use this trademark thing, and let's use, we brought it up briefly, but we'll use it in a whole bunch of stuff. Does how you feel about somebody's product and whether you're going to buy from them or not leave you vulnerable to having a double standard? Because if you are a super hard ass about how you feel about something, does that leave you vulnerable to having a double standard? For example, and I'm not saying that this gentleman who brought this up a couple of minutes ago was doing this, but it can. So let's say, well, I don't think they should do that. And then you go and buy a counterfeit guitar. I don't think it's why I don't use any knockoff products at all in anything in life. I don't use knockoff pocket knives. I don't use knockoff pens. I don't use knockoff guitars, any kind of luggage, anything, nothing. I don't use knockoff anything because I don't want to contribute to it. And I try to make sure that I don't have a double standard for that. But when it comes to like the views of an owner, so do you disagree with how a certain owner of a guitar company feels, but then a large retailer says something similar, but you still shop at Walmart or Target or I don't know. I'm just saying, or, go to you find out, let's say for instance, that you find out that your favorite hardware store chain feels the same way that some other person that you don't like does. Well, you don't really have a choice. So you have to go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever it is. So feeling super hardcore about something, or at least making the appearance of it on social media, does that leave you open to double standard? And I guess here's another question I have for you. Always buy cornflakes, never generic. Dude, there are certain things, right? Certain things can't go generic. Q-tips. Q-tips, for example. These days, I think where you draw the line is very tied to what you can afford. That is for some people. And there's where you have to balance how you feel and what's important to you, right? Yeah, for some people, how much something costs is a thing. Never go to Costco for the Kirkland equivalent of a product. Not usually. No, not usually. Actually, no. But see, here's the thing. Okay, so I see what you did there. You're trying to tell me that a knockoff product. But see, when I say, okay, let's define this a little bit further. Again, having a reasonable conversation, like being very specific. When I say knockoff, I mean counterfeit. I mean when something is trying to pass it off as something else. Okay. So in the guitar world, obviously we have counterfeit guitars. We have Chinese copies of guitars that are very close because they're trying to be something else. In the stationary world, we have pens that look, very close to it's like a knockoff of a Mont Blanc, for example. And it's a pile of garbage. It's like $50 and Mont Blanc is $1,100, so there's obviously a difference, but because you want to look a certain way, knockoff purses, that kind of thing. I don't use a purse, but you know what I mean? Now let's take Kirkland, for example, at Costco. That's different because what they're doing is they've entered into a legal agreement with a product line. And they said, we will license this and sell it in our store as a Kirkland brand. If you Google, actually, Costco's the easiest one. You can Google what is this actual product, and a lot of times you'll be able to find out that, this vodka at Kirkland is, Kirkland vodka is actually such and such, and they've entered into a licensing agreement. So they're not purporting to be something they're not. They're actually agreeing with the company, and then they're just putting their brand on it. So that's not a knockoff. It's actually the real thing. They're just putting their brand on it. And there's a legal agreement to make that happen. It's a distribution agreement. That's a lot of people do that. That's a very cool thing. That would be the same thing as me. I've done it many times. So let's say a guitar company comes to me and says, we want to put your pickups in our guitars with our brand name on it. Well, they have to pay extra for that. Okay. If it doesn't say Dylan on it, they had to pay extra. Okay. Just so you know, that's how that works. And they have to do it in a certain amount of volume and, a lot of stuff. So does that mean that they're using knockoff Dylan pickups? No, I've licensed that. That's a legal agreement to make that happen. So yeah, that's a different deal, but I see what you're saying. And I understand why you're having the conversation. I like that a lot. The owner of Full Tone got canceled, but people still use OCD drives, and Warm Audio make a version of the OCD drive. Yeah, that's a good example, right? That's a good example. And so, okay. So if you're going to, let me ask you this. So let's say you are one of those people who says, I'm never going to buy an OCD drive. What do you expect to happen? Are you actually doing that because it's what you really believe? Or are you like trying to ruin that person? Or are you like trying to ruin their family? Or trying to ruin all the employees that work for them? Or trying to ruin their business? First of all, one person's not going to make any difference. So if you're just angry for no reason, you're just angry for no reason and ruining your own life. But for example, lots of people said, we're not going to buy OCD drives anymore. So what happened? Did that ruin the company? It might have created a little hump, right? A little dip, but then, I don't know if he sold the design or what he did. He retired, and now everybody buys them and they're fine. Right? Because I don't think they have any association with him anymore. So, did it kill sales? Probably not. Did you change any minds with how vocal you were about some goofy boycott about something? Probably not. Did you stress yourself out? Probably. You know what I mean? It's interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm not telling you what to do, but yeah. So, I guess here's my question. This kind of gets down to it. So, you get to the point where you want to buy something. What is the determining factor that decides where you buy? Okay, so I'll put myself in this equation. So let's say you watch one of my videos and I say something and you don't like it. You do not buy from me. Okay, that's fine. You don't like the fact that I do something. I don't know, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. I don't care. And so you decide not to buy from me. But then what happens if I have something you really want? So here's what I do. Just going to share what I do. Do they have what I want? Yeah. Okay. They have what I want. This has happened to me because I'm on social media all the time. I'll give you some personal experiences here. Because I'm on social media all the time, like Instagram and YouTube and stuff, I have had people reach out to me and say, hey, did you know that the owner of the company, actually, it's this pocket knife right here. I bought this pocket knife and somebody said, the owner of this company is terrible. He's a terrible person and you're going to get canceled because you bought this pocket knife. Well, first of all, most people don't buy them. It's like kind of exclusive-y, sort of, not exclusive, but not everybody has them. You know, it's not a Kershaw. It's not a Buck. You know what I mean? So, and he's like, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of flack for that and blah, 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 blah. Well, A, I never heard anything about it from anybody else. And B, what I did was first of all, I'm pretty good at separating what somebody believes versus their product. Most of the time. I don't really care about it that much. Sometimes I do. This one kind of scared me because I got called out about it on social media. And so what I did was I went and did a bunch of research. And I was like, I feel like this is one of those social media blow up things that people are blowing way out of proportion. And then I met the guy in person and I'm like, this dude's really cool. Is he offensive? Yeah. Does he say stuff that people don't like? Yeah. Is he super hateful as a person? No, actually. He's super nice. And he's like really kind, actually. But I had to go find that out for myself. I literally went and sought him out and like met him. And now I've got another one of his knives on order. I've got 3 of them now. And I'm like, I really like this guy. There's another experience that I had in the guitar industry too, where something happened and somebody got fired and blah, 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 this and that. And then they called me up to do some stuff. And I was like, oh man, do I really want to? And so I just called him out. I said, hey, this is the rumor that I heard. Tell me the real story. And he told me the real story. And I was like, okay. No matter what I hear on the internet, if I heard it from you and I weigh it against feeling like you're telling me the truth, then I'm okay with that. Right. And it was fine. Right. So doing my own research and making sure that I get it right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's see here. Let me go through some of these back comments here real quick. I don't know enough about gear to... Yeah, so it doesn't matter. Like, we're just having fun. There are so many options for pretty much everything in this industry that if you almost never need that thing that you want. This is mostly a luxury hobby industry, not essentials. I agree. And you know what's so funny is I'm really aware of that. I think about that every day because, I make my entire living off of fun stuff. It's super fun and giving you guys fun, right? So my entire life is around making your weekends or evenings or whatever more fun. And if you don't need it, you don't need it. So yeah, no, I'm super, super aware of that. Super grateful. The business I had before this, I was in the dirt bike industry doing the same thing. And honestly, it's the most fulfilling, to make you, if you slam an E-cord and you feel good, that makes me happy. That's the super coolest thing. Which I really am grateful for. So if I have that much of a problem with the business, there's probably 100 alternatives. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you're right. Vote with your dollars. Ted Nugent is a guy like that. Yeah, I knew him as a kid. When I was a kid. Super nice dude. Of course, I knew him before he had whatever reputation for whatever he has now. But man, Super nice guy. Nobody really needs anything. I agree. Yeah, so let's see. What a lot of people were pissed off at the former Gibson CEO. I heard that people would not buy a new Gibson, but would buy a used one. Yeah, that's funny. I think that's really funny. To me, that's sort of hypocritical, if you ask me. Yeah. If you leave cornflakes and milk long enough, you can't tell the difference. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So let me give you a couple other things. Here's what I'll tell you. And so here's where the rubber meets the road. I'm just gonna tell you how I feel about a few things. Will you use these things to decide to not buy from me or buy from me? I don't know. Not sure. But I'm just going to tell you anyway, because I feel really strongly about this. And I made a list. Freedom. It's my money and it ain't your business. So if I buy a guitar, and you don't like where I got that guitar, or you don't like where I got that pocket knife, I don't care. It ain't your business. If you're bent about that, you have some therapy to go take care of. That's how I feel about it. That being said, I'm not a person to make snap judgments on stuff. So, for example, that pocket knife right there, I almost did. I was almost like, dang it, I should just sell this. I'm like, no, I'm going to look into this a little more. Let me see what's up. I also don't form opinions about people based on other people. So if you tell me that dude is a jerk, I will log that you said it, because here's what'll happen. If you tell me that guy's a jerk and I find out that he's not a jerk, then you're a jerk. So I'll log it, but I won't form an opinion on it. So, you know what I mean. I'm not saying that always happens, but you understand what I'm saying. So I try to really just allow time to go by and not to form opinions based on other people, investigate things for myself. And honestly, and balance, there's countries I don't want to buy stuff from, but I have to. So I also don't want to sound like a hypocrite every time I open my mouth about, a pocket knife or a computer or a phone or whatever, because I know where it comes from, but where I can make a decision, I will make the decision that I want to make, for sure. Absolutely. So where is my line? I'll tell you where my line is. Basically direct hateful stuff. It's the way it is on the channel too. I don't delete comments. I don't censor people. I feel like it's really important to let people be who they're going to be, because it does two things. One, I just think it's your right. And two, it tells me and tells the community where you stand. So if you say some really stupid crap, you said it, I didn't. I don't have nothing to do with that. You said it. And it also alerts the community to what kind of person you are. And the only time I'll draw a line with that is when it's directly attacking another viewer, like in the comments, or it's, directly super hateful, racism, that kind of stuff. Because nobody needs that. And it's not even a censorship thing at that point. It's just like, come on, man, nobody needs this. We don't need you around anymore. So Other than that, I won't delete comments or anything. But that's the way I feel about buying stuff too. Because where do you stop? For me, it's where do you stop? Because if you get super critical about every little thing in life, then your life is just super stressful. It takes all the fun out of it, all of it. If you only buy one color of guitar, if you only buy one brand of guitar, if you only buy one neck profile, if you only buy from people who think this way or think that way or whatever, then you just narrow, and you just get more and more stressed out to do a thing that should be fun. You know? So yeah, obviously we're a principled person, but we want to do your own research. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Super important. It's a personal decision, and you don't impose your beliefs about supporting businesses on others. Yeah, we've had a lot of people. I'm not going to buy from you. I've had a lot of people not want to follow me anymore. Because for example, because I have firearms and I enjoy them as a hobby. So people won't follow me anymore about that stuff. Or they won't follow me anymore at all. For assumptions they make. Anybody that's ever made an assumption about any kind of political thing or anything, it's so funny because they think they're so right and they've always been wrong. Nobody's ever got me right on that. So that's funny. And you won't. I've had people stop following me because we don't do charitable giveaways. We don't give guitars to poor kids. That's the joke, but it's true. But it's none of your business. I mean, my family gives charitably a lot. Like a lot. We actually take time away from work to do it. Volunteering, all kind of stuff. But that's none of your business. So it's not something I'm going to share on the channel, right? It's not something you need to know about because that's between me and whoever that happens, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. So what I think too that I've learned from being on this side of it is that just because a company appears a certain way, so let's say something comes up in social media about X or Y company, this pedal company, that guitar company, whoever, and you're like, oh, I'm never buying from them again. Well, chances are you're only seeing this much of who that person really is because A, it's the way social media works, and B, they're allowing it. They on purpose probably don't show you other stuff that would actually probably really make you like that person, right? Maybe not all the time, but I've thought about that a lot because I've been in situations where I'm not going to buy from this person. I'm not going to support that business, blah, blah, blah. And then I just pause and I do some research and go, oh, actually, that guy's pretty cool once I figured it out. Yeah. So I just want to treat people I want to be treated. So yeah, pretty interesting. And the bottom line is this. Whatever business it is, I think about this too. Whatever business it is, whatever guitar gear it is, I'll use myself as an example. If you're watching this or if you've watched my stuff in the past, and you're like, I'm not following you anymore, but you're still here because that's how it works. Because you did this, or because you have a gun in a video, or because you like pocket knives too much, or I don't know, you like puppies and I don't like puppies. Okay, that's probably a line. But I try to think about it like this. There's probably stuff that you do that I don't agree with either. But unless you gave me a real reason, I'm okay. I'll still talk to you about guitar stuff. I'll still hang out with you, We'll have a beer. We'll talk about guitar stuff, other stuff, whatever you're into. I don't care. I want to just know. I like knowing stuff about people. So if you don't agree with something I do and you want to base whether you watch our content, whether you buy products from us on that, obviously it's your choice. But I wouldn't do that to you. So, yeah, cool conversation. I'm glad that everybody, it was really neat to hear some people's thoughts about this. I would not buy from PRS because their owner is a snake oil salesman. He makes stuff up. Everybody makes stuff up. I mean, obviously I disagree with about 98% of stuff he says. Pretty much. But he makes a great guitar. So I like him. I think they're great. If you don't like dogs, we can't be friends. Amen. We can always ask questions instead of running with assumptions. Absolutely. If people would do that, the world would be a better place, wouldn't it? Let's see. Sorry, I'm just going back through here really quick. Anyway, here you go. Super fun. I love Tuesdays. I love these podcasts. I love doing these. I think they're great. I wouldn't believe PRS to be a snake oil salesman. I feel like he actually believes in the Tonewood thing. Yeah, he's not. He's not a snake oil salesman. A snake oil salesman knows that they're deceiving people. I think that he has a very strong, he's spent many years building his brand on a particular design ethos that he will never get away from. And I think people mistake that for him lying to you, because the snake oil salesman's lying to you. He's not lying to you. He's not lying to you. Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you another example. Somebody that I can think of. Gordon Murray. Okay. He's one of the premier car designers in the world. He designed the McLaren F1. Okay. He believes in naturally aspirated engines, no turbos. He's changed that a little bit lately, but for a long time, naturally aspirated, regular shifter, right? And like, he's the only one, right? It's literally like the Tonewood debate of engines. But people respect him for sticking to that. And he's been successful with it. It's been a niche, but he's been successful with it. I feel like PRS is the same thing. It's like, no, this is what I do. A lot of people don't like the fact that we don't make noiseless pickups. I hate them. I have a lot of reasons for not liking them. I'm not going to do it. I won't do it. I think they're stupid, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. I really, really do not like them. But, just because I think that and you don't, doesn't mean that I don't make other products that you would like, I didn't buy a PRS until he designed a guitar that I could really gel with, If he stops believing it, he'll just make stuff out of particle board. That's funny. Let's see. Do the people who hate on PRS make their own decision and listen to lovers and haters, or is it that 10 of the YouTubers I watch hate on them, so I hate them too? That is a really good point. I think about that all the time with Gibson and PRS. And I also think about that with any custom shop anything, because people will base an entire belief system on economy, when in actuality, economy isn't, for me anyway, it's not how you believe. It's not who you are. It's your circumstances. So if you can't afford a custom shop Gibson, then custom shop Gibsons suck. That's what happens, right? Most people that don't like PRSs don't have one. Most people that don't like Gibsons don't have one. And for the most part, when you get one, you're like, oh. If you are a reasonable person, you're going to go, oh, yeah, this thing's pretty good. Yeah, you know? Yep. Anyway. Yeah, super fun. Einstein hated shoelaces? I didn't know that, actually. All right, y'all. I got places to be and stuff to do. Thanks for hanging out. This has been super fun. I hope that you all have a great week. And I hope that we'll see you maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday, in our next video.